welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic, and I'm here today with a legend in the UK magic community. I'm here with a creator, an inventor, an innovator, a performer, the co-host of the Wizard Product Review, and just a really, really nice guy to boot on top of all of that stuff, the one and only Wayne Fox. Mate.
Well.
Good to see you, mate. It's good to see you. I just said off camera, you look really well. You good?
I'm all right, mate, yeah. And I look really well because it's fake tan. That's what it is, mate.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? Got to do what you got to do.
It's great to see you, mate. It really is. Thanks for asking me on.
I'm really glad. You know, it's been a year since we've cut. The last time I saw you was Blackpool 2020, so it's been just over a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been wanting to get you on the channel for a while. We're going to get into this, but you've been very, very busy with painting, which we're going to talk about. We're going to get to that down.
Yeah.
I know you've been just as busy in lockdown as you were before, but you've just kind of started doing different stuff. So it's great that you found time to come on here. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. That's very good of you. Thank you. You have to, I think, with the times that we've had recently, being not being employed by somebody as such makes you think things differently. I think when you're a bit of a go-getter and you think, well, I've got to get my own money, I've never felt more like Del Boy. I'm proper ducking and diving. It keeps you on your toes, Rodney.
It really it's true. It's absolutely true. It really is. And we'll get to that because there's a lot of stuff that you've done that is really, really interesting. But first of all, I can't imagine that anybody watching this does not know who you are. But just in case, I want to go right back to the very beginning and just kind of talk a little bit about your origin story, who you are, how you got into magic, and kind of what you've done during your career before we move on. So here's a question for you, Wayne. Question number one. When did you get into magic? What is your origin story? Was it the typical uncle pulled a coin from behind my ear, or
Christmas crackers? Getting a trick from a Christmas cracker. It was a magic square, actually, magic square. And I didn't know. I was terrible with figures and numbers. I still am. So I had to ask my grand. All I could see was it just said magic square, actually called magic square on there. And I asked my granddad at the Christmas dinner table, everyone's had a few, if he could show me what it is. And he did the magic square on me. And I had no idea. Even though it was figures and numbers, I still didn't understand or couldn't work out what it was. And there was also another one, ironically, the same evening with you get 6 or 7 cards with all the numbers on them. You choose one number and you say, was it on that one? Was it on that one? Was it? Come down to one number. So was it number 27? Yeah, that was on there as well. But nice little tricks, actually, for a Christmas cracker trick. And so, yeah, my granddad encouraged me to do it. And I was going around the party to all these people listening to Chaz and Dave and dancing around. It was a proper Chaz and Dave London family, and everyone was getting proper drunk, and all I wanted to do was show them this. And I had a spinning top out the Christmas cracker that I had on a shoebox lid, and I was throwing it in the air and catching it on the other side and throwing it back up in the air, trying to catch it on my hand. I was doing all kinds of stuff like that, and I was always doing little stunts and tricks and balancing an egg on its end. Did you ever do that one with little grain of salt? Did you ever do that?
Yeah, as a barbell.
Yeah. Little thing with balancing on it. No one knew the salt was there. That was the idea. And that was a key for me. I used to see one of my friends did it, and he put salt there, and then he did that. And I went, all right. And I thought to myself, it would be great if they didn't know the salt was there. And as a kid, I would lick the end of the egg and then have salt on my hand, and then let them try and do it. They couldn't do it. I'd bring it back, and because the end of the egg was wet, I used to dip it in the salt and then do it. So they didn't even know the salt was there. And that's where my creative side came out for me. That's where I started to be creative. I always remember doing that. And as an adult, I think back to that, I think that was really bright. That was a really clever thing to do, because all the other kids are going, I get some salt, I do that. I was going, yeah, I can do it without that though, look. And they're putting that up there, not realising I've done exactly the same thing as they've done, except I just used my head, licked the egg, put that on there, then put it on the table. And that's what happened. And then I wasn't very good. I struggled at school with my reading. All I wanted to do, like a lot of the entertainers and magicians nowadays, is get up in front of class and do some gags and perform. Sing, dance, whatever it was. I just wanted to get up and do that. And my a terrible reading and writing, terrible. Handwriting was awful as well. And I had a school teacher called Mr. Price. It's very well documented. I've said this before, actually. Mr. Price, he was only young himself, although everyone seemed ancient back then. I was only about 9 or 10. And I only found out recently, back then, he was only 23. He's just thinking this, and we were only the first class that he'd been teaching since uni. So, this is, he used to call me Bonehead. He said, "You're up here. What are you doing, Bonehead? Oh, Bonehead, what are you doing?" Also, this is before all the pansies took over, and it just worked out like that. And you just had to have this moment where you think to yourself, it really brought me into line. It brought me into line. Not allowed to say stuff like that anymore. Although I'll tell you what happened. So he realised at school that I concentrated much better if I'd had my ego rubbed. So if I was allowed to get up and do some gags and do a little bit of magic, the rest of the week I'd concentrate a lot better. It's very clever thinking. Yeah. And so every Monday morning after registration, I was allowed to stand, literally have 10, we used to call it the 10-minute stand-up. And no other kid got the opportunity to do it. But because I was terrible at school, he said, right, he said, what you got for us, Wayne? And he used to do a proper thing. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, before your very eyes, I have to find it. And he used to make a real Barnum preach about it all and give me a big drum. And then the kids had to do that on the table. And then we get up there and you go, ladies and gentlemen, away, Fox. And I used to walk on stage and do this. Then we go, Foxy, Foxy. And it was an amazing thing. Amazing. I had an emu puppet. I used to do the emu puppet. And I used to grab hold of the other kids with it. And it was chaos, organised chaos. But I started then to watch, because on Sunday nights, I didn't want to go to school. Thinking, Sunday, it's school tomorrow. But then what I started to do at the weekend, I used to watch Morecambe and Wise and Benny Hill and all the classic comedy TV greats of the moment, and basically write their funny one. I've still got the book. That I used to write all the funny one-liners in.
Wow.
From that, some of them you couldn't even mention now. They're, obviously sexist, bordering on racism kind of thing, I suppose. But it was of the moment back then, and I used to copy these down, and I used to sit there and memorize these lines and script it all out as a 10-year-old, and then go up on Monday morning feeling a little bit nervous, thinking this is my big moment. This is it. This is me. This is Sunday night at the Palladium. Here it is. It's Monday night in Enfield. Monday morning in Enfield. I'm going to be on stage. I'm going to, got to do it. I just get all buzzed up about it. Do I look all right in the mirror? And I used to love it. And then I started to progress from that. I started to progress and get better and stronger. And that's how it all started for me. That's how it started. I couldn't read properly. Mr. Price turned to my mum and said, you need to get a book for him, which has just got a little bit of text and a lot of diagrams of something that he's interested in. So at least he will be getting some encouragement from it. So she bought me a magic book. And I've still got the magic book as well. David Nixon's Magic Box.
Wow.
Still got. I can't possibly get rid of it. And I still get a very, very excited feeling when I open up the pages. They're all yellow and discoloured now, but I just to sit there and flip through it and think, yeah, this was the tricks in there. I remember doing them with my friends and then going, how are you doing this? It was like a proper secret book for me. And yeah, it's upstairs. It's I don't even leave it in my bookshelf. It's upstairs in a cupboard. It's just that little, I don't know, too precious, I suppose.
Very, very cool. That's very cool. So you got the book, and when you finished school, did you go straight into being a full-time entertainer, or did you kind of do a job?
No, I was heavily into judo, and so I'd as a junior, I got my junior black belt. And I'd finished off my syllabus, and the guy who was taking our syllabus chart said, you know, this kid is only 13, he's finished off his syllabus, his senior syllabus, that doesn't happen. And so I just loved it. I was there all the time. When I say all the time, I went judo every night. It is ridiculous. Yeah, Monday to Friday, every single night, I was down the judo club. I just loved it. My poor dad would rush around because my sister had a horse, and anybody who's got a horse knows it's not a pet. It's, you know, it's like having a child. You are constantly changing its nappy and looking after it and nurturing it. And so if he went down the yard with my sister, he was with me down the judo club. Right. And poor mum's at home getting ready and getting us all sorted. But that was our thing. And I started to get, in my humble opinion, I got very good at it. I used to represent England, and that's all I did. It is all I did. I got a day job. I went to college and we did business studies. I wanted to do art. I wanted to do special effects in films. That's what I wanted to do when I left school. I loved entertaining. I wanted to get up and be an entertainer. But I left school in an era, 1984, in the middle of a recession. And there was no encouragement from my a lot of the tutors at school. Some of them are brilliant. But I went to a grammar school, an all-boys grammar, Enfield Grammar. It's very old school, 500-year, very traditional. All the teachers wore a mortarboard and a cape. It was a very very strict as well, and posh, obviously. And so I used to go up there, and all I did was judo and magic and try and entertain people. And it took over, really. I went to college. It was terrible. I passed it. I got 5 O levels or whatever it was. I remember telling my careers advisor at school, at Enfield Grammar, he sat me down. I said, he said, what kind of things are you interested in? I said, I want to make special effects in films. Have you seen the film Labyrinth? You know Labyrinth with David Bowie? And that had just come out, 1980, at the cinema. And he was looking at me. So I said, have you seen it? He went, oh, the puppet thing. And I went, yeah, David Bowie, yeah. Because, yeah, I've not seen it, but it's just come out. So I want to make them puppets. I want to make special effects. I want to do that. Deceiving the eye, that kind of stuff. See, magic was starting to hatch out in my mind then. Yeah. And he said to me, his words were, Master Fox, we need to get with the picture and you need to wake up. And he went through this little lever arch file thing he had, this thing would spin around. And he went, there you go. There's a job in a factory up the road. You can go for that. And I said, well, what's it making? And he looked in and he said, light bulbs. So I said, I don't want to do that. And he said, well, that's all I've got for you. And I said, well, why have you asked me what I want to do? And then he had to go at me for giving him back chat. So I walked out. I was very confident, by this time, you know, 16, I was very, very, very confident. Judo did that for me, because when I was very little, when I was at primary school and I wanted to do this stuff, I needed the encouragement to get up, so I didn't think I was any good at it. Turned out I was brilliant at it.
Love that. Yeah.
So and I always used to say that to my teacher, I was brilliant at it. And I remember he was saying to me, he goes, shouldn't act like that. Shouldn't act like that, because that's overconfidence. And I said, well, you wouldn't have asked me to do it on a Monday morning if you didn't think I was any good at it. That's a terrible. But I remember vividly saying it. I'm thinking, what's he laughing at? I wasn't trying to be funny that time. What are you laughing about? And he went, oh, bonehead, go away. But yeah, and that's how it happened with me. He was very, very good. And he was the one who encouraged me. Mr. Price was the one who I actually got my school report, what actually says on it, although Wayne does struggle with certain subjects, there are things that I see that Wayne can do which will blossom and help him out later on in life. And that's what he was talking about. And it's lovely that I've had that, because I did a show just before Rona. That's what we call it when you're down with the kids, by the way. Just before the Rona struck, I did a show called The Hatching Ground. And it's about my experiences of becoming what I'm talking about now, leaving school and learning magic. And my granddad telling me that there was a secret kingdom in a place that I go to called Forty Hall, where I live. It's a beautiful place and it's very dear to me. It's a big manor house. And, there's a tree there, and it's got a big knot in the tree, but it looks like an arched doorway like this. And he used to tell me it is a door, and Pixies living there in an underground kingdom with baby dragons and everything. And I convinced myself as a 7-year-old that I saw a pixie one day. I just convinced myself that I remember being in there, and he come out, he went into this little canteen there, and he come out with some ice creams. And I was sitting out there with the dog, Butch the dog. And I convinced myself, I saw one. I come out to my granddad, I saw one. He's going, yeah, come on now, here you go. I'm not telling you now, there was a pixie, I saw it. And it was, so I made a show surrounding that subject, and Mr. Price came. Mr. Price, who taught me when I was 10 years old, came to the show to look up and see him there. I'm thinking, what? It's just incredible. You know, Mr. Price was sitting there, and I stopped the show. I stopped it because it got a bit emotional. I said, I'm really sorry. Just for a moment, this isn't in the scripting. I've never had the opportunity to thank a person who helped me out when I was a little boy. And I told him about Mr. Price, and he gave me the 10-minute stand-up for a year, which gave me the encouragement to do what I'm doing today. And he's sitting over there. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I had 100 people at that show, and you could hear everyone go, ooh, ooh. It was amazing. My dad was there as well. It was just my family. It was to actually have him there was the most powerful moment I think I've experienced on the stage, really. Forget about the magic that was going on. The most powerful emotional moment, to have him just sitting there looking at me, makes me feel emotional now. It was just incredible. I loved that moment of just looking up and thinking, "It's Mr. Price. That's Mr. Price," and to have a grab hold of him, have a hug when we were allowed to, and it was just, oh God, I can't even put it into words. You had to be there, and this show was a one-off. I like doing one-off shows. Come along, see it. If you want to go and see it, come and see it. It's only one night. I'm not doing a week. I'm going to do one-off. I like doing weeks, but one-off. But that's how it started for me. And then I got a job. I got a job in an office. stayed there for a couple of years till I was 20, and I thought I do need, and it was my actual manager, who's a very dear friend of mine now. Actually, I spoke to him yesterday. He said to me, you need to do it. He said, because you're not concentrating here. And I worked myself into the ground. I was going 9 to 5 there, and at weekends driving to Scarborough to do a magic gig, driving back, and then Monday to Friday finishing my job at 5, and then in the evening going out to try and promote myself at my residencies. Come home, felt a bit rough one night. Yeah, almost ended up in hospital, and had to call the doctor out, and I'd got nervous exhaustion, where I was just constantly working, and that was a turning point of me thinking, right, I've got to make a decision. What do I want to do, magic or work in the office? Lovely people in the office, but you know, like my boss said, you got to make a decision, because you're not concentrating here, you're concentrating more on magic. So do it, make the step.
And did you? Is that when you kind of went?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did. Literally that day, I rang him up and said, look, I've got nervous exhaustion. And he went, oh, bloody hell. He said, you're going to be off. So I was off for nearly 6 weeks. And I rang him up now and again. I can't tell you what that pain felt like. That was awful. Yeah. It wasn't like a cold or a flu or anything. It was just like I was driving back, and I felt that from a gig, and all night long I just felt a bit of a fuzzy head and a bit achy. By the time I got home, it felt like I had pins and needles everywhere. Everything itched. And then I started getting a bit hot. Then I got very hot. Took some paracetamol, nothing. Got up in the morning. No sweating, nothing, just shaking like that. Couldn't stop shaking, and I couldn't work out. And it felt like the beginnings of, you know, when you're really nervous about something, you're going to go on stage, excuse me, and you get nervous about going on stage. You know, you get butterflies. Well, we always say, when you know, it's like people always say to us, do you get nervous when you go on stage? And we can't say it's nervous, but it's more like adrenaline. Yeah. It was like that, but like 20 times worse. I just couldn't control myself. I was shaking, and it actually made me feel rough. And the next morning I was getting palpitations. So that's when I started to think, right, you know, I was only 26. I was thinking, so I feel this is awful. Rang the doctors, yeah, nervous exhaustion. And he was going to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, this is what someone who has been overdoing it, done the London Marathon when they hit the wall, you're showing those symptoms. Well, I've just got to work, you know, I don't understand it. I could hardly speak, Craig, could hardly speak. And yeah, it's just burning the candle at both ends. He said, you're getting up in the morning, 7 o'clock, you're racing to work, you're finishing at 5, and you're going straight into London to do a gig, getting back at 2 in the morning, waking up at 6, 7 in the morning, going to work, and you're doing that all the time. All of the time. He said, you aren't having a break. And then at weekends where you could say, right, I'm going to have a rest, he said, you're not, you're going out and doing it again. He said, you're just working yourself into the ground. And that was my turning point. I thought, all right, I need to make a decision. We all get to that point though, don't we? Don't you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lesson here that people that are watching this need to learn from. I think that magicians, especially, they can overdo it sometimes. I've got a friend who does the holiday park circuit.
All right.
And he had an accident in his car coming back from a holiday park in Wales, because he was just literally, he'd done like, I think 80 shows in like a month and not had any break. And he was just like getting back at 3 in the morning from a holiday park, something else. And he ended up in bed, laid up with broken ribs and sternum for 2.5 months.
See, this is the thing we've got to watch out for. My dad said it to me, he said, listen, he goes, there's nothing clever about being the richest man in the graveyard. And it, it's really scared me when he said that. No, Dad. And I thought, but he's right. What's clever about that?
Yeah.
Can't take it with you. Go and earn the money, but always have a break. So I do. I really know how to live. I'm a socialite.
It's great.
I do. That's what I do. It's having that moment and having that recognition of bordering that you're overworking. And I work smart. I think I work smart rather than work hard. I think there's a massive difference there, and it's something that I've learned over the years to do that. David Penn is good at that. He's really good at that. He works smart, and you know Dave well as well. I've learned a lot from what incredible amount of the way he organises work and doesn't get flat. Doesn't I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's just level-headed work. Just got to put that there, and I've got to make this around and do that, this, that, bang, done, great. Let's go out and get a steak. It's that kind of attitude. and I think that's why I get on so well with him, because I've got that same attitude. Right, let's do that, but let's make sure we've got time to go out and play.
Yeah.
Now you need to have that. You need to have playtime. That it's well documented. The reason why kids have a break and go out to play is because they work better. They work better when they come in, because we all do.
Yeah. 100%.
It's an important thing to do, I think, really. But at the same time, you don't want to get lazy and think, I'm just going to play all the time, because we all want to do that. But it's that's how it works. That is how it works. But I'm quite happy like that. I'm quite happy with that. I'm having that stuff at school with me helped me understand the importance of work. Mr. Price would say to me, because you have got to do it. You've got to do it. You have to do this. You can't leave it. You've got to do this because you've got to take an exam. You've got to, he's called an 11 plus back then. So we've got to take an exam at the end of the month. You have to do it. That's how it all works. And I think really it's important for me as a kid who used to think, I used to think I was thick. I used to think I was thick, one of the thick kids. Always smiling, jolly, didn't get pushed around or picked on, partly because I was got a junior black belt by then, but it was. I think that mainly I was a happy kid. I used to make people laugh for a start, and when you make people laugh, you've got them. You have got. I don't care what anybody says. It's the most attractive quality in anybody to make someone laugh. You just think because you're getting everyone's endorphins working in their body, and endorphins, as we know, is an addictive drug. And it's in your body, and we're producing it ourselves, and it's getting bigger and stronger. And if you make that powerhouse erupt in someone's body, they're just going to want to be with you all the time. Yeah. It's a great thing to do, because we all know if you walk around with a miserable person, it makes you feel miserable. Yeah. Say that about relationships, can't we?
Yeah, you can indeed. Absolutely. Very wise head on your shoulders, Mr. Fox.
It's massive as well, isn't it? I've got a massive head. It's big, but it's beautiful.
Big and beautiful. Love that. And it works well on the mug as well. It works well on the mug.
Get you it. Hold on a second.
There's the mug. Love it. Well,
thanks, Rach.
So you obviously, that was a wake-up call for you. So you quit your job. I'm imagining you quit your job and you went full time into magic. And obviously, since then, your career has gone better and better and better and better and better. You've performed at a very high level all over the world. You do both. You're known primarily as a close-up magician, but I know you do a lot of stage work as well. Yeah. What's the prefer, Wayne, close-up or stage?
You know what? It's a brilliant question. It's lovely. I've been on stage, got a standing ovation. I know you have as well. I've been there to see you get a standing ovation. it's such an emotional feeling, isn't it? The biggest standing ovation I got, the most important one, I think, was at the Magic Circle when I did my Chatterfox lecture. And at the end, arms out, thanks so much, hope you enjoyed it. And everybody stood up clapping. And I couldn't contain myself. You end up in tears with that. People who I look up to clapping at me. It's mental. So those wonderful feelings. However, I always liken it to this. I love being in just a pub. I've had some of my most memorable moments in magic where I've been sat down in a pub and someone said, he's a magician. Did you know? No. And you end up with 30 people sitting around you in the pub and they turn the music off and you are owning everybody in there. And it sounds aggressive and it sounds overconfident, but that's how I feel. Just to give everybody so much joy. And like I said to you, getting those endorphins moving, get everybody emotional so that they just explode with laughter or just astonishment in a pub.
Yeah.
In a pub. There's a pub in Shoreditch in London that I go to do some bits and pieces. And it's all a little bit knees up Mother Brown in there, a little bit How's Your Father, that kind of boozer with lots and lots of locals in there. But I tear it up. And when I go in there, it is like being the most famous person on the planet. When they walk in there, here he is. They've got a real piano. And someone plays the piano. Love it. I love it. You're in there doing your thing. And they just know me as Wayne the Magician. Close up. And I've been on West End stages. I've been on the Magic Circle stage. I've been in front of, did the tour with Darcy Bustle. I get up at 9 o'clock. I'm introduced on stage at 9:15 in the morning to 3,000 people. And of course, all of that's wonderful. But suddenly you're in an East End boozer with 30 people around you, doing bottle through table, tearing up a card that someone signed, and you click your fingers and it's restored again. And they are tearing the place down. I love it. I can't get away from the simple fact being there. You know what? I've always said this in my magic lectures, make sure you're prepared. Just make sure you're prepared. If you are going to go around telling people you're a magician, then you better be ready. Because if someone says to you, can you do a magic trick? And you have to say no because you're not prepared, then you're not a magician. Magic is going to happen no matter what you say. Gandalf doesn't say, I forgot my staff. He'll say, yeah, go on then. You shall not pass. That's what it's about. If you are going to say you're a magician, then you better get ready to stand up. Yeah. And I make sure that I am, when I go out, I'm prepared. Not just to something little, like a coin vanish or something. I'm prepared. I want to do something exceptional. So they walk away and say, see that guy over there? It's what Michael Amar says. He said that we're all doing the similar kind of magic to one another. There's products out there, but you've got to make it your own. And he says, I want to do a magic trick that people might have seen before, but they walk away from it and those people say, yeah, but you want to see Michael Amar do it. And I took that on board so that I walk away, and if I'm doing cups and balls or chop cup, or if I'm doing cigarette through coin or some kind of routine or trick that is well known to other magicians, I want the layperson to walk away and say, yeah, see Wayne Fox do it though. Yeah. Wow, that's a bit different. I just want them to do that. And it's not being big-headed or anything. It's just making it memorable. It's making magic memorable, which is what it's about. And we are all in it to win it. All of us. We're in a very odd scenario, is that we are friends with our competitors.
Yeah.
I don't know any other businesses that are like that. There
No.
probably are, but you know, we are. You're in the same business as me. I'm in the same business as you. We've got to make it different, and I think that's what keeps it fresh and alive. That's when you get people ringing you up and say, "Can you come and do my wedding?" You tell them how much they charge. They say, "Yo, well, we've been quoted £200 less, but we'll book you."
Yeah.
And that's maybe because they've seen you, and at least if they've seen you, they know not to take a chance on the other guy who they've not seen, but he's £200 cheaper. But yeah, but we've seen this guy.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to. You know, you've done a good job then.
It's true. I mean, I'm always, you know, you talk about always being ready to perform. That's always been my mantra. I can't tell you the amount of gigs that I've got from sitting on a train and just showing somebody a card trick, or sitting in a cafe and doing something. You know, those magicians that have that thing that they go, "I haven't got anything on me." Well, you're missing out on a lot of work, because, you know, you should, you know, being able to...
Imagine the lady saying that. I wasn't ready. Right? Sorry, mate. I wasn't ready. Wasn't expecting you to ask me to do any magic. No, he like he said, it's a week. That's how he said it. You know, and you would get prepared, get ready, make sure that you've got something on you all of the time, or you've got some kind of mental. I do light heavy a lot. I produce something called light heavy, where someone can't lift a bottle off the table. It feels like it's stuck. I can do that anytime I want. And that's normally my go-to. So if I'm out somewhere and says, "Oh, can you do some magic on me?" Go, "Yeah, go on. Hold the bottle." And it's a great, great, powerful, strong moment. But I think that so many magicians, when I'm at Blackpool, of all places, and you're sitting down at a bite to eat, and everyone's in there, and everyone's doing some magic, but then you get one of the waitresses or waiters come over and they're going to watch, and that person who's doing all the stuff to his friend doesn't do anything at all.
Yeah,
it just think you could have done that. That was your opportunity to show it live. You got to make the joke. You have got to jump off the deep end sometime. There's no easy way of jumping off the high board. You've got to jump off it one day.
Yeah.
So you might as well just get good at what you're doing, and then jump in one day. See, you might, never know. You might blow them away.
Exactly. All the practice in the world doesn't hold a candle to going out and working a trick for the first time in front of a live audience.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. And I know a lot of magicians, they struggle with that. You know, they've got their set that they've done for X amount of years. They're always going to do their ambitious card and their sponge balls and their omni deck and whatever it may be. And they buy this new trick. They spend ages working on it, and they never put it in their act, because when they actually get out there and they get themselves into a position where they can work it in, they don't, because they just want to go back to the stuff that they know works.
They're already doing it. Yeah. It is a shame. It is a shame, because I think that I've always been, thankfully, I've always learned magic, and I've recognised the effort that I've put into it, because I do a lot of sleight of hand magic. You end up working hard. You end up working smart and hard on all of this stuff. You think, I'm not going to put all this effort into it just to not do it. It's made me look at magic in a very different way. I am very, very decisive when I choose stuff. So when I'm at Blackpool, I think, will that fit in? If I think it could do, I'll get it, because then I'm willing to put in the effort to do it. But I don't come home and then put it in the drawer like a lot of people do. I actually will bring it home, use it. If I think, you know what, I've bought this, I'm not going to use it, I'll sell it. That's the best way. Get it so someone else can benefit from it. And I also think that if I did a very well-known David Williamson torn card effect. I was only 17, and as you know, that effect, there's a lot of work in that, a lot of routining, lot of routining.
Not an easy trick at all.
Yeah, but it is my go-to TNR. I don't think I can beat it. And I set it up so well into my set, my close-up set. Even I think it's beautiful. I couldn't possibly I couldn't possibly not do it. It's even, you know, you got your A set, you've got your B set, and you've got these different sections. When the residencies, when I first started doing residencies, I used to have a different segment in my case, three lots. So there's one set, there's two set, there's three set, and then every time I went there, I would do one that do set A. Then when I went there the week after, I'd do set B. So I knew that I wasn't repeating anything to the same audience all the time. I think quite a few magicians do that. And so I ended up learning a lot of magic, but that T&R effect was in every single set. Wow. I wouldn't take it out. It was, I'd spent so much time on it. It's one of those things where someone come up to you and say, do that thing where you tear the card up and it restores again. If you're going to put effort into it, bloody use it on every occasion you can.
Well, here's a question for you. You've talked in the interview several times about being unique. And you just mentioned there Williamson's torn and restored card. Do you have any advice on how to be unique, how to create your own brand, how to take somebody else's trick and make it your own?
Yeah, so it's a great question. What if I'm buying a product, you know, an actual out of the box product at Blackpool, and I've seen something, immediately I do look at it the way that the demonstrator's performing it or the magician who's performing it, and I look at it and in my head already I'm thinking, how would I make that different? Because when those people are showing you how to do it and you've got 5,000 other magicians walking around, if they all bought it, there's a chance they could just be doing it as that person's doing it. Well, I need to make it, I've got a very well, I won't even mention it because I don't want people to know what it is, but I've got a very well-known card, word prediction that I use. And along with David Penn, he gave me a couple of pointers and made it so unique that when I did it on stage, another magician came up to me and said, I do something kind of like that. And it was exactly the same trick.
Wow. Out
of the box trick, out of the box. And he said, I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years now. It reminds me of that. And I said, oh, does it really? It's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Dave and I laughed about it, actually. So I said he didn't even recognize the own trick that he's been doing for the last 4 years in his stage show. Didn't know it was the same thing because I've altered it. Now, I think the best way to do this is get the grassroots, get the roots of it. So if you know that coin has got to go in that bottle, and then you've got to take it out of that bottle and give it back. So do I get the coin signed? Is there a way I can get it signed and show it? Is there a way I can do that? Okay. Is there a way that the spectator could hold the coin and put it in the bottle? It's very bold, but is there a way I could do it? There must be a way. Do I have to have it covered up with something? Do I have to break the bottle to get the coin out? So I start thinking along those lines instead of, so here's the bottle, I put my hand like this and then you hit it, now it's in there, and I do that and now it's out. Yeah, that's what everybody does. But I want to be different. I want to be different. And I encourage other people to do it differently. Wouldn't it be great? You know, someone said, yeah, the only way to get that in the bottle is to do it like this, bang, that's it, now it's in there. Well, now that's stuck. Is there a way that I can do it so that the coin, which is signed, is permanently in the bottle and they get to keep it that way as a souvenir? Is there a way? So I start thinking along the lines, hard work, but wouldn't it be great?
It is hard work, but every single magician that I've ever seen that's at a very high level, they always either create their own magic or they take routines from other people and make them their own. Without exception, everybody I can think of that performs at a very high level, that's what they do.
Yeah. Because you want to be, I won't mention the product. I won't mention the product because it's not fair on the crowd, because it is a very, very, very good, and it's been very popular. I've been to events where someone said, "Oh, I've got a magician. He did this," and it's very hard not to mention it, but it is important. It is important. It's a good fact. So it was about 3 Christmases ago. Everybody was doing this bit of magic. It was on videos and everything, and I bought it, and I had a lovely routine, which was very different to everybody else's routine that I could see. But then it became very popular, very, very popular. It was on all the videos on social media of people doing it because it was so easy to do. And then I was at a Christmas gig. I went, I think it's 2018, might be 2019. Lovely golf club. It was their Christmas ball. And yeah, I went up to, "Hi, my name's Wayne, I'm a magician." "Oh, it's a magician." And off they went because they're ready to go because they'd already seen me at the other tables. And this woman said, "My son does this trick." And she told what I was about to do. A 12-year-old boy. So I just went, "Okay, so that sounds clever. Oh, let me show you this." Got a napkin and did bottle through or something. Yeah, but I was about to open with this trick, and I charged them a lot of money, and she was the one who booked me, and I almost showed her a trick that a 12-year-old does to her at tea time. So and I'm not afraid to tell you that. I'm not afraid to tell you that, but it was a very, very, very well-known piece of magic.
Now you've got me wanting to know what the trick was.
I'll tell you off camera. But needless to say, I don't do it anymore. I literally stopped there and then. It was very, very popular, and I was aware that it was becoming popular, but thank goodness she told me before I started, because I charged her a lot of money. And a 12-year-old son does the same trick. He is a little, ironically, he has been a kid. Well, she's been buying stuff off of the stuff, and she knows world magic shops as well, so she's been buying stuff off of there. And so her kid's buying magic, and quite often she'll email me just to book me for another show, but she booked me to teach her kid magic as well. And I wondered what would have happened. Maybe I could have said, "Oh, do you mean this thing?" or something, but it knocked me back a little bit. It's a little swing, little sucker punch. Went, oh God, she got me with that one. That was some crap. I'm glad she told me, so I would have been gutted. Can you imagine?
But there's the reason to have a good repertoire, to have a big repertoire. I know some magicians that have the one set. I've worked with magicians at gigs, and they do the one set of 4 tricks to every single table. They don't deviate from it. That's all they do. Whilst I know you have so much material that you can literally, when you get yourself into a situation like that, it's not an issue for you really, because you just go, "Okay, so I'm going to go there instead."
Whereas I think a lot of people that could have upset the equilibrium of their performance. And I think the real showmanship of it all is, and professionalism is, to go bang and just start halfway through your A set. Just leave that bit off. Ironically, there was something else that I used to add to this other trick, so it did mean that they didn't get 2 tricks. However, I was ready to do. I did card under box, which I didn't normally do at the table. It's something I normally do in my parlour show. But as you know, I love card under box. I really love it. And so the table was clear. This was after they'd eaten, so they're having coffee. So I moved things out of the way and I said, "Look, I don't normally get the chance to do this. Let me show you something special." And she felt brilliant because she was getting something that nobody else was getting. And I did it. But I thought on my feet, and I owned them. I owned their table. Their table is mine, all of you. And that's how you want to make them. For me, that's how I want to make them feel. Like we are at your mercy, that kind of thing. Just got you guys. That is it. Utterly destroyed. And that's, for me, it's a great feeling. It's a great, great feeling of being able to do something completely different that nobody else is doing. I'll give you a brilliant example of this, actually. So about 5 years ago, I launched a stage show called What the Fox. And David Penn is my he's my consultant, my magic consultant for that show. So we're all there. We're getting set up. We got up there in the afternoon, and we're just going through a dress rehearsal as my prediction box broke. 2 hours before.
Are you talking about the prediction box that everybody knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It broke. It broke. 2 hours, mate, before curtain up. 2 hours. Now, I was closing the first half of the show with this. And without gifts, I'm going to be doing the show. I was supposed to be doing it Christmas just gone in the West End. Without giving away the show, because I am going to be doing it this Christmas. Thankfully. So you can imagine this part of this show relied on the second part of the show's beginning. So this is where Dave's really good at this kind of thing. He just kept looking at it and goes, "What's the matter with it?" Had a look at it. He went, "Yeah, we can't fix it." Okay, not to worry. And I'm telling you now, within 2 hours, he had not only created a unique presentation of the prediction, he was as cool as a cucumber about it. Cool as a cucumber. It was like it was just a little hurdle we're going over. "Oh yeah, what we done? Oh yeah, okay. Do it this way then." And he taught me how to do it, and I was doing it. This scroll, I walk on stage with now. I walk on stage with the scroll, and everyone's clapping and cheering at my arms out. I said, "Before we start anywhere, can you sign the scroll for me?" Sign it. Someone in the audience signs the scroll, and I put it on a chair, on the stage, all the time. Then we unroll it, and it's got all the stuff on it, signed, and it's in full view. It's in full view. The scroll of paper. 8 magicians were there that night. They all come up because we had an after show party as well, because I'm posh and everything. And we got them. I love it that I said it so seriously. You went to laugh and went, "Oh no, it's serious." I thought you were joking then.
Mate, half the time I don't know whether to take you seriously or not.
Well, I am posh. So I wanted to do an after show party for the show, which we did. And the theatre manager, bless his heart, he said, "I've never taken so much over the bar." I brought a lot of drunks with me, and we're all set up. And he said to me, 8 magicians at the end of the night come up to me, and they said, obviously not in unison, not in unison, one by one, they come up and said, "How did you do the scroll? How did you do the scroll?" No one knew. And me and Dave have always said we're never ever going to tell anyone.
That's great.
It was it's just one of those things. I'm not going to release it as a product. It's actually too good. It's actually too good. It's mine.
You know what they say, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean that encapsulates the way to be different. I mean, to think, spur of the moment. When he told me, he said, "That's all right, we'll have the scroll signed and we'll put it on the chair behind you and it'll be on full view the whole time." And then when he told me the method, I went, "Oh no." And it wasn't one of those moments where you go, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?" It was so advanced and just a stroke of genius that, I just wanted to do that to him, because it just said, I don't know how you thought of that. you know, and I consider myself a very creative person. I've created some nice magic, and not only magic, I've created other things as well. I couldn't get my head around how he'd done it, and I mean, we always talk about the 52-to-1 deck and the addition that Dave put onto it as well, which was, you know, very clever. But I do think the most creative thing that he has ever done is something that people don't realise he's done. No one knows about that. It's my piece of magic that no one knows he did that. That is his, in my humble opinion, is his most creative moment, because it just saved. I can't even begin. Well, you can imagine. I can't even begin to tell you how it made me feel when I heard a click. I thought, oh no, listen, what's going on here? Yeah, it had broken, and there it is, a scroll of paper behind me on the chair the whole time.
Well, while we're talking about creativity, that's the other thing I want to talk to you about. We've talked about how you're an amazing performer, and you are. We've talked about your career, but you are very well known as a creator, an innovator, a lecturer, and you've created some amazing tricks, concepts, products over the year. When did you start creating, Wayne? What made you want to actually start creating? Because magicians come into this industry, or people come into this industry, and we put magicians up on pedestals, don't we? That are,
yeah,
you know, we look up to the creators, don't we? I think everybody wants to be a creator. Why did you start creating? Was it because you wanted to become magic famous, or did you have a desire to share things with?
No, I was a little boy. I found it. I'll tell you what I did. I had a little camera with a film in it. I was only about 7 or 8, and I had a plastic dinosaur. And I'd roughed it over with sandpaper to get all the shininess off of it and make it look like real reptilian skin. And I made a small jungle in half a shoebox and pulled the shoebox down, cut the end off of it, and put the dinosaur in it with all these plants around it. And I got my camera and took a photograph, and I tried to tell people. I got the photograph from back when he got it back done in boots back then. Got the photograph, and I took it around to show my friends that I found a dinosaur over 40 Hall, where my granddad told me the hatching ground where the magic took place and the pixies lived in the underground kingdom. And I told my friends I saw a dinosaur over there. That's genius as a kid, even though I say so myself. It was I was 7, 8 years old, and my mate said, "Really?" Because look at that. That there was a dinosaur, and it was in the woods, and that I've always tried to do. I've always tried to deceive the eye, deceive the mind, and make it entertaining. You know, make it think, how has he done that? And that's how I was 7. I was always doing things like that. I used to make these shadow boxes, and I don't know how I got the idea for it, but I used to have different characters, you know, like shadow. I can't remember the real word for it. It's not shadow making, is it? You know, when I mean, it's got a light behind it. It's got a white screen, like that. But you would view it like this, so the person would hold the box, a shoebox again, and look through it, and I'd have different slots in it, and I would put different characters through, and I'd do a play, and I'd do the voices while you'd be watching in the box, and I'd be putting the things, you know, I'd be doing that all the while. My hands around here and taking your wallet out your pocket. That was when I took the box down. I've got your watch on. I just.
Oh boy!
I've got to go, Craig. It's too late now, mate. See you later. But I used to make these boxes to do that with, and I think that then I remember this is it's just a lovely moment. Do you remember the symposiums that Mark Leveridge used to do? the
Yes,
close-up,
I do. Yeah,
British close-up magic symposiums.
they were great. They were really good.
Oh, mate, I went to all of them apart from the very first one. I didn't realise that it was on. I was only about 19 or 20. I went to one and I was having, they could only have dinner at halfway through because a proper 3-course meal involved. Only 100 people went. And I sat at the table and I was having dinner with Tommy Wonder at Clang, just leave that there. And he, of all the people to be accidentally sitting at the table with, was him. And he'd just done his performance in the morning, then he was going to lecture on the show that he just did, and he had the little box, everything. And I was sorry, no, he had just lectured, so we knew how it all worked. And I said, my dad come with me, and I said, I'm going to go and sit with Tommy Wonder. I never met Tommy Wonder before, I didn't even know who he was. I was only 19. But Tommy Wonder over there, I'm going to go and sit with him. So I walked over there. I sat down with him, introduced myself. He was great. But I learned so much. I sat down for 45 minutes eating dinner with him. There was other magicians there, but I couldn't remember all the other magicians who were there. I was just having dinner with Tommy Wonder, for crying out loud. And I said to him, can I look at the box that you had? Well, yeah, sure. And he took the box out of his pocket and handed it to me. And I had nothing. And I said, I'd like to make myself one of them. And he said, yeah. He said, we need to get the dimension. So what I did, I got a piece of paper and I bent it around the box. So I knew that was the length. And I wrote down that was the length of it, drew it all, and I pushed it. That's how long it is. And I took that piece of bent up paper to a chippy and said, can you make that pic? I showed the picture of the box, that. And he did. I still got it. I still use it. And I learned so much. And he was the creativity that Tommy did in his show, all handmade. Even his lecture notes were hand drawn by him.
Really?
I still got them. Yeah, I still got them, and he signed them.
Wow.
He signed them. That is a really treasured item of mine. It's a very treasured item of mine. I've got some lovely magic memorabilia, but yeah, they were hand drawn and then just photocopied, put on there, stapled together. There you go. And I said, could you sign them for me as well? And he went, yeah, sure. You know, he used to go, yeah, sure. And he did that to him, yeah, sure. 45 minutes, sat down with Tommy Wonder, just me and him, talking about magic and how can I create. And because I told him about the things that I just told you about. And he said, hey, you've got a very creative mind. He said, that'll do well in magic, make sure that everything's different. And I did. And then I went along to those shows again. And then I was about 21, 22, and I met Andy Nyman. As you know, I'm very good friends with Andy Nyman. He's a lovely, lovely guy. And he was there as a performer.
Okay.
And he was doing his routines. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, mate, this is brilliant. This is mental. No, there's no visual magic. It was all mentalism. And I loved it. And again, his creativity, the way he was walking so far to accomplish something was just amazing. Just a great, great feeling to be in the presence of someone who thinks the same as you, along the lines of, yeah, that's what I was thinking, or I hadn't thought of that. That's a brilliant idea. If you can do that with lots of different people, then you've got to be creative, and you've got to make sure your mind's fertile enough. Don't switch it off because you wouldn't normally do that. You just got to say, well, I won't be negative and push that away. I'm going to sit here and think to myself, yeah, I'll try that. Yeah. And that's what happened with that day with Andy Nyman. But I do that a lot with my creativity. I look at people's stuff, try to make it manifest. Don't make it unusual, something that the audience might have not seen anymore. Get creative, put something else, add on something else to it. Don't just go, well, that's how it works out the box. Put your twist on it, put something on there that's going to make it unique to you. Maybe the patter, I don't know. but make it a little bit different. And then the more you do it, it gets embellished with more and more ideas. And we both know, I remember learning some torn restored card effects, and it was just straightforward, bang, 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 there it is, torn restored, until I got pattern with it as well. I think this is great. And then you get better at it when people stop you mid-flow. Like the waiter or the waitress comes over with the canapes and goes, anyone want a sausage roll? Well, you're going, oh, God. You know, so it's that kind of, that creativeness enables you to stop and carry on. So, yeah, my creative, I love it. I love creating magic. I really do. The best bit of advice I would give everybody, though, if they wanted to do the creatives, get the goal. So the coin's got to go in the bottle. That's what you're after, right? Okay. And you want it a sign coin. Okay, right. It's got to be a sign coin. How are you going to get that in there? So get the goal first. Don't start thinking. Too many magicians start thinking, well, I've got a deck of cards and then I'm going to get a 4 of a kind and then I'm going to get one of them to turn face down and then the next one's turning face. Oh, God. What? Too much. What is the end result? Right. All 4 of a kind just get found. Okay. How are we going to find them?
Yeah.
And then we start working backwards. And that's with all my stuff. I've got a summer release that I'm bringing out, something I've always wanted to produce what I've got coming out this summer. And I never thought I'd get the opportunity to be able to do it because of technology and everything, but technology is good now. And I can, I've got a working prototype, which is on the table over there. I'm looking right at it. It's over there. And I'm not telling you yet. And, but it's, it's exciting. It's exciting that I've got it. Now, I work backwards from it. You work backwards from it. The coin, what do you want? I want the coin in the bottle. Okay. How are you going to do that? How many ways can you think of doing that? Well, I can do it that way. That's already been done. All right. Okay. It has to be that size bottle. Right. Well, I want a Schweppes bottle. Oh, right. Okay. So it's a tiny bottle then. So you've got to start thinking along those lines. You want people to be able to say to you, right, okay, right. Okay. So the card is signed and it's folded up and it's in the box. Okay. Can the spectator take it out? No, you have to take it out. All right. But I want a spectator to take it out. Oh, right. Okay, then. You've got to have what do you want from it? Because there's so much that we've got out at the moment. And each one has got its restriction.
Yeah.
I've got something called the real card to box, where the spectator can take out the card themselves, their own signed card. They reach over, they pick the box up, they open it up, and they take the card out themselves.
I remember.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. So that's what I wanted. However, for me, the restriction is you've got to do some sleight of hand. You've got to learn how to do it. You've got to learn how to get that card in that box. And although I've shown the instructions, you've still got to learn it. Yeah. Still got to learn it. But I liken it like this. I tell people in my lectures this recently, and everyone laughed about it. I was 17, and it was Monday morning, and I couldn't drive a car. I couldn't drive. That Friday afterwards, just 5 days afterwards, albeit badly, I could drive. How did it happen? I had an hour's lesson every night that week. An hour. That's all I had. And that's what I tell people. If you want to get good at something, practice it for an hour a night. You'll be better at it. You'll be better at it on Friday than you was on Monday. Why not try it? Or you can sit down and get bored out your head watching EastEnders if you want. You might as well do something, creative. That's what lockdown's done, though, isn't it? It's brought out the creative people.
Well, here's a question for you. So, what advice would you give people? You've talked about creativity and how to be creative and how to create your own products, and that's amazing. And that's really, really helpful information. Let's say there's somebody out there that has a product that they are happy with. They've worked it in. They think it's awesome. They've shown it around to their friends. All their friends say it's original and it's awesome. They've done the due diligence as much as they can. What should they do about releasing it? because you've worked very closely with Dave Penn, and I know you know the guys really well at Murphy's Magic.
Mm.
And obviously you've released products on your own as well. So you've produced stuff with various different dealers, but you've also produced stuff yourself. What should people do? Should they go to Murphy's? Should they go to a dealer? Should they try and do it themselves? What's the best way for somebody to?
So if it's their first release, I think what people need to realise is that a lot of I get people come to me with brand new ideas. A lot actually got ideas, maybe not brand new. I had one recently during lockdown, actually last year. He came to me and I said, I've got this brilliant idea, where he told me what the effect was, and it is actually in effect what's already out. And I said, well, that I sent him the link to his trick that he's been thinking about, which obviously he was upset about. So needless to say, for the very beginnings to find out. Now, what you've got here is an opportunity to produce this magic yourself. So that means you can fund it, or you can create it, you can make it, you can build it, and you're even putting it in the boxes yourself. Everything yourself. Supply and demand. Now, you're going to earn money at that, but have you got time? Have you got the knowledge to create this stuff? Has it been created before? What happens if that guy last year created this, spent a fortune on it and said, hi, Wayne, can I put this on your site to sell? And he already spent $3,500 on it. For me to send him a link and say, that's actually already out. I saved him a fortune and a lot of stress. So good come from it. Good come from it. You have that option of creating all of this yourself, but then you can have the option of saying, right, I'll just sell the rights. I'll just sell the rights to another creator. So someone come to me and I'll say that I'm going to give you X amount for the whole idea. The whole idea is mine, and I'll be the one who'll put the outlay onto it. Yeah. So they might be happy with the money that they get, but I've now got a lot of outlay to produce this trick if and when I want to in the future. So that's another good way you could do it. So if you want the money now, then you can say, well, I'm just going to sell the rights to it. And that's it. And I've done that. I've done that with a couple of pieces of magic. And I can't tell you what they are because they're not mine. They are someone else's tricks. That's part of the rule. You can't let someone release the magic trick and go, that was my idea. It's not. We just bought the rights off of you. Yeah. Which is ours, not yours. So you've got to realise that. Now, I think where a lot of people don't realise is the costings. So I had a guy come to me about 3 years ago, had a lovely idea. Yeah, we you know, he everything had to be jet molded in plastic. It was going to cost him about $8 or $9 grand to set up. And he had no idea. He thought plastic. He just thought, we just plastic coated, didn't you? It's going to cost you about 20p a one. He said, yeah, well, you've got to get the molds done. This is where people don't realise the outlay, the 52 to 1 deck, you know, God, just the money that we spend. And I think that when you are producing magic, you have to realise there are options. You can sell the rights to the trick, but it's not your trick now. It's their trick, but you've got the money up front, just through thinking of it, just going, I want to put that coin in the bottom, I'll do it that way. Is that you mean? Oh, right. Yeah, it is. Sell the rights. Yeah. Done it. Well done. It's brilliant. Or if you want to go off and do it and make a name for yourself, if you are a person who, like me, wanted at one point to say, I want to be a creator of magic and I want to be well known for lecturing and creating magic, earn a living from that, then I need to be out there. Yeah. So what do I need to do? And so what I produced it myself. I went along with another couple of other magic companies who, although they bought the rights of the trick for me, in the deal, I negotiated that I was the one on the instructional video. Now, although I got a nice little sum of money, it wasn't massive, but a sum of money, it was far greater to have that exposure. I'm the person who's created this piece of magic. They were getting the money for it. Everyone they sold, I got a lump sum in one go, and that was the end of it. But the trick continued. The effect still went on of me being the person who's created this magic. I put the routine together. This is how I did. Fortunately, it was something that the person who bought it from me, the company who bought it, they said that we haven't got time to sit down and learn it. So I was in the driving seat. I said, well, I already do it. So why don't you let me be on the instructional videos? And they said, well, that's a great idea. So we signed it up that way. And I was an instructor. That's another great way of doing it. If you want to become well known as a creator, get yourself on the instructional video. Dave does that with anyone who comes in at World Magic Shop. They get to be on the instructional video if they want to be, obviously. And he gets them on there. He done that with a couple of my effects. I did with tab test. And obviously 52 to 1, it was mine anyway, but it was that's how it worked. And then Dave come up with the new part of 52 to 1, it amalgamated into something spectacular. And that's another point. You know, if you go to someone with your piece of magic and say, that's what I want, I'll sell you the rights, but I want to be in the instructional video because I want to be well known. They might not want to be well known. They might just say, no, just give us the money. You know, so, and then it's done. I know a couple of my friends have done that. They've sold the rights, or they've bought tricks off of someone for later on. And then they're going to create something. So there are different ways of doing it, and those are the ways. You sell the rights to them, or you produce it yourself. Producing it yourself is one thing, but you need money back. Now, if you wholesale those effects, obviously you're not going to get, unless you sell thousands, which is quite rare, let's say. Just don't always sell thousands of an effect. But then you've got that option of putting that out to somebody, and then those people can then look at what you've done and they know who you are. It's that guy on the video. And I think you wouldn't have too much trouble as long as you've got a good effect. As long as the effect is good and it's exciting, then you could do it. However, you've got to then work out in your head, right, do I want to wholesale this and get a lump of money? Which is wholesale pricing, and knowing that I'll need 200, and then in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks time, I'm going to need another 200 just in case they order them. But they might not order, but then you've got another 200 sitting there. You don't know how to get rid of them because no one knows who you are. No one knows who you are. And when a new trick comes up, you look at it and you might bypass you. It's like watching a new film that's just come out, and you watch it and go, yeah, that looks okay, but De Niro's got a new one out. I'm going, De Niro's in it. So if someone who you know is in it, you're going to pay more attention. Just how it works. That's just how it works. You know, that's how things happen. And if you want to become well known, you need to be in the video. But then you've got the problem of retailing it yourself. Well, if you've got nowhere to sell it, like a website, and you're not hitting enough people with it, you're not going to sell it. Or if you're not lecturing, you're not going to sell it. And you're going to be sitting on 500 units, which are sitting in your spare room. And so you do need to recognize where you're going to go with it, first of all. So get your effect, go to someone and say, I need help. Do you want to buy the rights off of it for me? And that's what I've done. I've bought rights off of people just recently, actually. I bought one. You buy the rights off of somebody, and you give them their money, and it's great. Or you can say, well, I'll buy the rights off of you, but you do it better than me, and I recognise that. So I'd like you to be in the instructional video. Is that all right with you? Brilliant, great, bang. And they can become well known for it as well. So they still get the recognition for it and a little bit of money. And that's how to do it, in my opinion. Let someone get it for you, unless you're making it yourself. But if you've got nowhere to sell it, sell the rights. If you can't sell it anywhere, then you must sell the rights if you want to go somewhere with it, and then be in the instructional video and get well known for it. But otherwise, you've got to outlay. That means that you have to do it. You have to buy the widgets. You have to pay the person to make a prototype. You have to go out and make sure the prototype works, and then get another prototype because that first one didn't work, and then get another one done and think, what's going on? And then put it on the back burner, and in 2 years' time, come back to it and get another prototype. And it goes on and on and on. Be decisive, make a decision and go, right, I'm going to go forward with this piece of magic. I'm going to go to that person there. I'm going to go to that shop. I'm going to go to them. I'm going to ask who would like this, and then work out who's going to give you the better deal. Not always the money. Don't always go for the money. Go for the better deal. Person who's going to give you what you need. So if you need exposure, you want to be in an instructional video. So yeah, that's my advice on if you've got something brand new coming out. Work out, what do you want? Do you want money? Do you want exposure? You know, and be judgmental. Look at it yourself and be honest.
Yeah.
Don't go in there and say, I'm going to earn a fortune out of this, because you probably won't.
Yeah.
You earn some money, but you're not going to earn a fortune. You know, you've got to have a lot of magic out to start earning money from it. So yeah, don't be too clouded. I've had some funny stories where people thought this is the next best TNR effect they've got coming out, and it's got a card here and a card there, and you've got to stand at this angle, and you can't let people look over your shoulder. But it's going to be brilliant, and I'm going to earn about £100,000 on it just this week. It's just, yeah, it is crazy what people think, but you hit it right and you'll get it right.
The first product, when you first came on my radar, was Neat and Tidy.
Yeah, the rubber band ball.
Yeah, was that your first thing?
Yeah,
because I talked about that on this channel the other week, and somebody asked me a question in the Q&A, and they said, what, in your opinion, is the best way to close a rubber band set? And I said, Neat and Tidy by Wayne Fox. There has never been, to this day, another way that's more logical, that's better to close a rubber band set. For people that don't know about this product, you bring out a whole mess of rubber bands. You can do whatever you want, take some rubber bands, and at the end of the set, you take your mess of rubber bands and visibly, and I mean stupidly visibly, roll them up into a rubber band ball and just drop it in their hand or whatever. I did it for years until I lost the gimmick. Are you ever going to re-release that, Wayne? Because I said to you on the channel, you've got to get this thing.
Yeah.
Find it.
Bless your heart, mate. Bless your heart. I did re-release it at Blackpool about 3 or 4 years ago and sold out at Blackpool. It's one of those things that because it's so visual, it would suit, especially nowadays, it would suit that TikTok magician. You know,
sure.
TikTok magicians doing it. And I do believe Neil Henry, was it Neil? I don't know if it was Neil or Julius Dean. One of those two did Neat and Tidy recently, because I got sent the video, and they go, he's doing your trick. So which happens a lot. I love that when it happens. Someone will send me a video, go, look what's happening. That's what you do. You know, so it's when we did I must tell you, when we produced 52 to 1 deck, I was at the Circle one night, and Dynamo was there, and he came over and he said, this thing where they're cut into a card that they are thinking of. So I said, yeah. So I showed him it, and he said, I've got to get one. And so we did, produced it, let him have one, and then he said to us, yeah, we're talking about being creative now, like we did before. He said to us, we want to do this on telly, on one of his specials, and on breakfast television. And that morning, my phone went nuts. My phone went nuts. He told us what he was going to do. He asked if obviously we could do it. We had to go and sign paperwork, and he had to buy things and payments and all this. And I went up to his offices, and just me and him sat down in one of the rooms that went off to the side, and I taught him how to do it, showed him how to do everything he needed to know, and he did it back to me. And obviously he picked it up straight away. And he said, I've got it. He said, I've got it. Yeah. And then that morning, that week after, it was a Wednesday morning. And he obviously told us it was going to be on the telly doing it. And I was ready. But no one else knew, just me and Dave. I was sitting there and I saw a couple of posts go up on social media going, Dynamite's going to be on Breakfast TV today, everyone, all on the groups. I thought, this is going to be interesting. And bloody hell. Yeah, it was just, my phone was...
Well, the 52 to 1 deck became one of the best-selling tricks of all time.
Wow.
And still so many people do it, and it still sells, and it's an incredible working routine. It's genius. Somebody thinks of a card and they cut to it. It's a genius trick. It really is. And I don't mean this with any disrespect. It's not the sort of thing that you would see, what you think of when you think of Wayne Fox, because you are so technically gifted. And I've seen you do stuff, and I've watched you right in front of you do stuff that's just made me go, what, hang on, you got that under the box, how? Well, hang on, you switch this, how? And I've seen you do coin stuff, and just, it melts my brain. And then
that's nice that you say it, because you're a coin magician too. And I look at your coin magic.
Oh, but your coin magic,
that means a lot. Thank you.
It really is. And then you bring this trick out that's in essence completely self-working, that you can do pretty much from out the box. It's not the sort of thing that you expect from somebody that's so technically gifted, but it's just...
You're not the first to say that, because they said, where's the sleights? Where's the knuckle-busting sleight I've got to add to it? Because when I produce a piece of magic, I always try to give it a little bit of groundwork just to keep the magic alive, to keep... You haven't just got to push the button. But sometimes that's not always the case. And with 52 to 1 deck, that really is. You spread the deck face up on the table. They can look at and think and remember a card without touching it or taking it out. They're just thinking of it. And then you put them face back down, and then they cut to the card they're thinking of. And that's what I wanted. That's how I reversed it in my head. I was sitting down and I produced a piece of magic called the Knockout Prediction Outdone, which you gave Worker of the Week when you was doing this product review.
Bloody great trick. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you. And I wanted to do that. The one, although I sold an incredible amount of them, the one thing that people used to say about it was, it's a shame that you got to carry 2 decks of cards around with you. And that's where my creative side come out and thought, right, how can I do this with 1 deck? And the 52 to 1 deck was born. That's how I did it. I just thought I need to do the Knockout Prediction with 1 deck of cards. And all right, yeah, it got altered greatly. But basically, that's what I wanted. I wanted people. So if you didn't know what Knockout Prediction was, it was a red deck and a blue deck, and you brought them out, you shuffled them, and then someone could cut into the red deck, and they'd cut to the 8 of diamonds, and I could cut into the blue deck, and I'd cut to the 8 of diamonds, and then you could do it, and you'll get the 3 of spades, and you just go wherever they cut, you cut, and you cut the same, even though it was shuffled. I loved it. I loved it, but I embellished it. I embellished it well with lots of layers and with bits and pieces on there. And I was very, very pleased with the outcome of it. And it was an idea from Roger Curzon that gave me it. He gave me his blessing and said that I could produce it, because I showed him it. And like I told you before, when I put layers on stuff, he didn't recognize his trick that I was producing. And he goes, I can't he said, how are you doing it? And he mentioned a bit. I mean, how are you doing that bit though? And I told him, and he went, oh, he goes, you crafted. He said, I can't believe you've done that. That's genius. So I said, well, coming from you, Roger, then thanks, mate. And then that was it. And then it embellished again. And then I was listening. I do listen to what people say. And they were saying, oh, this would be great if you could do it with 1 deck. And yeah, I started to think along the lines of, how could you do this with 1 deck? This could be difficult. And then that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to say, no, I want to do this. So I did. Produced it, sat down for a week or so, working different ideas, how it would work. Can they choose a card? Can I think of a card? Can I cut? Can they cut? can the deck be shuffled, all those kind of things, put it all together, and within a week I'd created the roots of what was going to happen.
It's great.
So yeah, that David Dynamo done it on TV though was just, that was mental. I'll never forget that day. Lovely, gorgeous sunny day out.
Oh, everyone was talking about that.
Everybody. It's on all the forums, all of it. When he went on there, it was just that. It was just that.
And I can't imagine how many of those bloody decks you sold after him going out. Amazing.
I'm so grateful to it all though, but that's what I want to do. I want to produce good magic that people can look at and go, yeah, that is brilliant. I want one of them. That's how I operate. I want, as a creator, as a seller of magic, I want people to look at my stuff, know that it's going to be good quality and decent stuff on there, and they'll go, well, you know what? I'm getting myself that.
Well, I did a magic rant last Friday. I don't know if you saw it, where I mentioned you.
You ranted.
I did.
That's my cat's making a load of noise. Sorry, that's my cat down there.
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So you're ranting. That's unusual.
I ranted. I know, right? But it was a rant, not about you, but you inspired it. Because you put a post on your Facebook group about piracy and magic. And you put a
video. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And you put a very heartfelt video on your Facebook page about how it's harming creators and it's harming the industry. And I watched that and I was like, you know what? You're right. This is such a big issue. And I did a video on the channel about it as well. And I said that I don't know if you've seen it. I'll send you the link.
Please.
But do you want to talk about that for a couple of minutes? Because I know that's something that you are very passionate about, and it is harming the industry because ultimately it's gonna, you talk about how much you love creating, and I know you love creating, and I know you love giving to the magic community, but ultimately there's a breaking point, and if people keep ripping your stuff off, eventually you're just going to keep it to yourself.
Yeah. And so then what had happened during the first lockdown, I'd decided to release some instant downloads, 3 instant downloads. One of them was called Filthy because they were just filthy, knuckle-busting moves. Difficult, hard moves to learn, but they were there, documented, and it's so much easier. We all love a book, but isn't it much easier to actually watch it on a video to go, I've learned stuff from a book, and then someone's shown me it, and I've gone, oh, I'd do something like that. And they're going, oh, I'm doing it around the wrong way. So I've looked at it wrong in a book. So I've done it on the videos. So I put Filthy out there, and it had Spellbound, and it a routine that I've got where you shuffle the cards and they go back in the box. Everything's examinable. There's no special box. There's no special cut. Everything. You shuffle, 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 bang, and then suddenly the back of the box, open it up, put the box on the table, deck of cards, it's, all sleight of hand. That kind of stuff. That was Filthy. Then I did something called Flick Drift, which I've got quite well known for, with a card that appears under your hand just by touching it on the table. And then, of course, Light Heavy Project. Now, the Light Heavy Project was the one that everybody wanted to know how this was working, because by command, you are able to give someone the feeling that they can't lift something as small as a phone or a deck of cards or any other small object from the table. They can't lift it up. Now, I brought into the fact that something in that called a convincer, which made it very palatable. Even a lot of other hypnotists out there were saying, well, hang on a second, how's he getting 100% hit rate on this thing? Why is that working? And I brought something to the table that was very, very strong. Now, because it was selling so well, someone in China tried to rip the video. What they'd actually done, though, was managed to rip the first part of the video with the trailer. So just a trailer, and literally 2 minutes of the first part of the video. And they were selling it for something like $4. But they've got a lot of people to hit in China with it, haven't they? So, but they couldn't advertise it because they'll just get slated. But I had a guy message me, and he said, Wayne, I just watched your lecture. It's brilliant, light, heavy, I'm going to buy that. And I send them the link so they can buy it directly from me. And he said, I can't get mine to download, though, properly. It only downloads the first 2 minutes. And I checked, and he hadn't bought it from me. It'll come up immediately. When someone buys a download, I've got it connected, so it'll come up on my phone. And I said, well, you've not bought it from me. You've definitely not bought it from me. It'll come up on my phone when I've got an indication of a sale on my site, like all of us have, actually, haven't we? And yeah, he got it off of this Chinese guy, but now he's having to go at me because it won't download. So I said, no, you go back to the Chinese guy. You ask him to do it. They sent him a trailer. This guy's ripped the trailer just off of YouTube, which anyone can do, and he's selling them the trailer for $5. And they're ringing me. You know, a couple of guys have rung me up and said, I can't get any access to your video, and they're having a go at me about it, which I thought was yeah. I obviously I got really angry and said, well, don't support pirates. If you want to support pirates, you're going to get pirate copies. It's like getting a VHS copy of something and keep complaining that, you know, someone's head's in the way because someone's filmed it in the cinema. You don't go back to the pirate. No, you don't go back to the originator and say, you know, I bought this from you and it don't look right. No. So yeah, that if you want to support creators, and we'll continue to produce really good magic. If you want to support pirates and buy crap, then don't come back to me and complain that it doesn't work properly, because that's what they're doing. And yeah, so I needed to make a video because I got I've had about 6 or 7 now. People message me and go, did you know I bought this? Where do I get money back from? I said, well, the pirates we took it from you.
Yeah.
Don't buy cocaine and complain that you got addicted. What's the matter with you lot? You know, so it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I needed to make that video, and yeah, kudos to me.
No, seriously, I'm glad somebody's making a stand. I really am. I really, really am. Now, I want to ask you 2 more questions. And the first one is, I'd like to bring up the Wizard product review, because your name's been linked to the show now for the last few years. And yeah. You've talked throughout this interview about Dave Penn. And I know you're very close with Dave Penn. I know you guys have done shows together all over the place. And obviously you've created routines together. Your name's been linked for a long time with World Magic Shop, despite also having all your own stuff. How did the Wizard product review come about? How did you end up on there?
So I think you had left about a year or so. Dave was looking for some new people on there as well. And he asked me to do it. And I said I hadn't got time. I don't think I've got time, because I was producing a couple of, there was a thing that I was doing for the BBC, consultant work. And I didn't really have time then. So I haven't got time to run up to the studio once a week, keep running backwards and forwards, and to sit down and to go out and work as you know, to have these products in your hand and use them to see how they actually work. And he kept asking me, and he said to me, he goes, I think he said, because I think you'd actually find you do have time, because you are sitting down when you're watching TV, and he fed me back my own line about practice. Well, you're sitting down watching TV, you might as well have a look at this way you're looking at it. And if you're going to go and do a gig and you've practiced this routine, why not go out and use it at a gig? Then you can review it afterwards. And he did. And then, so I said, go on then. And then, do you remember, Ben, you had me on as a guest a couple of times, didn't you, when you was there doing it? Right, yeah. And so I knew the experience, I knew what it was like, and I knew the fun you're having. And then we did the, you did the, Wizard product review lives. Yeah, that was like top gear for magic. That was great fun. Yeah, and I thought, you know what, it would be fun to do it. And I'm a big strong believer of doing stuff that you actually love. Don't do stuff just for money. We all need it, but don't do it just for money. I told my kids this when they leave school, don't, because one of my kids said to me, because I'm going to go for this job, it's brilliant money. Went, whoa, hang on. do you like it? And he goes, well, I don't know yet. I've not done it. So you've got this, where's the draw? And he went, well, the money's brilliant. I went, oh, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Convinced him not to do it. We've all got to learn by our mistakes, but I convinced him not to do it. And that's that kind of thing. You've got to love something. You've got to love it. And it's magic. And you're sitting down with two of your mates talking about magic.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. I am. So I did it. And I just said, go on then. Will you let me have a couple? Let me have a couple of goes and see if I like it. Get me on as a guest.
Yeah. And
so I went along there as a guest a couple of times. And I thought, yeah, I've got time. I'll do this. And you make time in the end. Absolutely. You like something that much, you make time for it. And I do it. It's great.
My favourite episodes are when the three of you are on together. I think you three bounce off each other really well.
I think so. We've got a good rapport. It's because we're mates as well. We socialise otherwise. We don't just get together for the show. We'll go to the Magic Circle one night, all of us together, and we have bites a week. You end up having fun and having a giggle together anyway. So you're mates. And I think that comes across on camera. Little in jokes, not too many, but a little in joke comes up. And I like that. We have a bit of a giggle about it. So yeah, it's fine, you know. And what's nice about it, you know, Dave's already rung me this morning to wish me all the best for today's interview. Brilliant. So he rung me up, you know, it's at 8:30 this morning. Good luck, you know. So that's what it's all about. I enjoy it. I really enjoy the show. But we're giving something to the community, you know, real working magicians buying magic and going out and doing it at gigs and giving a review on how you think it operates. You know, it's a great thing to do.
Realise how hard it is it's a labour of love putting one of those shows together, taking the tricks, learning them, practicing them, going out, check. And you can never win, can you? You give something a bad review and people will go, oh, you're being too harsh. You give something a good review. How can you like this? You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, all the time. I had a message from someone a little while ago. I forget what product it was now, but I gave it 100%. And they said, oh, hi, Wayne, I hope you don't mind asking. You gave whatever the trick was now, you gave it 100%. Is it really worth that? And I said, no, I went on social media in front of about 10,000 people just to lie to them. Of course it's 100%. What do you think I'm doing on there? So it's ridiculous. I can't keep up with all the messages. So I'm sorry if you do send me a message and I don't get back to you, but I get loads. It's ridiculous after a show, especially after a show. I get so many messages. I couldn't possibly sit down. I just haven't got time. And you're the same, I'm sure. You must have been the same. You just you think, I've got 50 odd messages on my phone. Yeah. People say, you know, just some of them are, you know, you try and flick through some of them, but I just don't get time.
And I see some review shows, and I'm not going to mention names, but they don't review the product from the point of view of a working professional magician. They just don't. While I know that you and Sean and Dave, you look at it from the point of view of, is this able to be gigged? And that's what I love about the show, and that's why I love watching you guys.
I think I'm pleased you said that, because I just think you can tell if someone's not used a piece of magic.
Yeah.
It's the same as, you know, watching Top Gear. If they actually haven't been in the car and driven it, how can they tell you what it's like to drive?
Yeah.
That's why they go out and they drive in it. And they come back and they go, yeah, the clutch was slipping or whatever, you know, so suspension was brilliant or whatever. So it's important to be able to go on there. We just tell the truth, our opinion on what it is. And I actually like it when one of us gives something 90% and the other one says, no, I think it's worth 27.
Yeah.
I love that. I think, why? It's because your own opinion. Why would you do that? But we've got to be, the outlook is that I have to look at it from a magician's point of view, not just mine. No, I look at it and say, look, I'm not going to use it, so I'm not going to give it over 90%, but it is brilliant, and I can see that other magicians will use it. It's very well made. It's very cost effective. I think you're going to love it. I'm giving it 89. You know, so then that's a bit, I won't be able to use it because it's just not in my performance, in my head, the way I would work it into anything. So I'm just honest about it. But if I give something over 90%, that means I'm using it, and I do. I gave the Aqua, I think I give the Aqua deck a high score a little while ago, and I use it all the time in my routines. If you watched my lecture recently, then you would have seen me talk. You would have seen a lovely thing that I do with it.
Yeah, the Aqua deck is great. Well, I'm so glad that you guys are rocking it. It's really cool. I want to ask you one more question, Wayne, before we wrap all this up, which is I have to talk about your artwork, because for the whole of your career, stroke life, you've been known as a magician, performing on stage, performing close up. And obviously you've had this little hobby in the background. But then in the last year, this little hobby has become your main thing. And that's really through necessity because of the Rona. And I think what brought it home to me about how bloody good you are, and you are. I didn't really know much about your art.
I agree. I agree with you.
I didn't know much about your art. I've now seen a lot of it, and I'm really impressed. The thing that, and you know, that behind you is the perfect example. It's fucking amazing. But the thing that brought it home to me was that episode of the Wizard Product Review where you gave that where you gave that to Blamo to.
To Dave with Blamo. Yeah, he didn't know I was doing that.
Amazing.
He didn't know I was doing that. Yeah,
I actually had chills. I had chills down my arm when I saw that. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was a lovely moment because he'd helped me out recently, and Dave's we're always helping each other, we're mates, and I wanted to do something for him, and I gave him a gift of Blamo in a painting. And it's, you know what, this is what you just said as well, this hobby, it is, I think it's more than a hobby for me. I've always done it. I've always done artwork. I like painting in grayscale like this, in this tone. I like painting in black and white, and obviously London. This one's sold actually, by the way. Meet Me at 7. This is called. It's just speaks for itself, doesn't it? Really. I've always done art. Always. I never posted it on social media because I wanted people to know that I was a magician.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't really put too much personal stuff on there, but it's about me doing magic. And I have posted up paintings of myself, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. And then, and I do sell paintings. That's the thing. I did sell paintings before that. I didn't really make a big thing of it. People would come up to me and say, "Can you paint my dog? Paint my cat?" But I use it in a very special way in painting pets. Is that the way I've painted Blamo? Is that big close up? The reason why it works so well for a pet to be drawn that way is that you are the only person, the owner, the master of the dog, is the only person who sees that close up view. I can't go up to Blamo and go, "Who's a good boy?" and rub his face like that, because he might not like it. I wouldn't ever do that to anyone's dog. But the owner has that close part to that close connection to their animal. They pick their face up and rub their cheeks, so they get that really close up here. That's why I think Dave got so emotional, and people do get emotional because he's the only person who would see his dog that way. I don't see Blamo like that. Sean doesn't see Blamo like that. When we go to the studio and Blamo's there, we give him a stroke on the head. We go around stroking other people's dogs. As anyone who's close to me knows, you don't do that. But that you do. I mean, it's your dog. My cat, I can go up to and go, and grab his face like that. So that close-up view for pets is one of those things that I think sells well. And I've always sold paintings, but during the lockdown, I thought, well, I'll just show these. I'll just show these on social media, so people can see them. And what I do with my paintings is that I have a song that relates to them. So each painting has a song related to it, a well-known song off an album, but I write it on the back of each painting. So when you get a painting from me, an original, on the back there will be a song on the back of it. No one really knows. You just turn it around and you'll see there's a song written on there, and that's the song that was playing while I was painting the painting.
Oh wow!
And so while you're doing those, all the London ones, the black and white London ones, come from an album called The First of a Million Kisses by Fairground Attraction. If you haven't, it is actually a masterpiece. If you haven't heard it, do you remember the people who sang Perfect? It's got to be perfect. It's that group. They released an album and broke up. It's Eddie Reader. Her voice is haunting, but they sing about London. She's a Scots girl. She's a Scottish girl, but they sing that album's about being in London and the lights twinkling on the Thames, and they say like the lights on the Thames look like jewels on a chain. Just think, God, just incredibly passionate music, and it needed some of the artwork. So all these paintings that I've done in black and white, and they're at London, are about songs from that album, First of a Million Kisses. And the other album that I've done with some of my London images, which some of them have got a little bit of colour in, is Listen Without Prejudice by George Michael. So he's my favourite artist, and the songs from that reflect in the paintings that I do, but they'll have it written on the back. So if you buy an original painting, the prints don't. The prints are all signed. They're signed prints. They come with a certificate, and I do very limited runs. So there's only 10. So I don't do loads of them. I just do 10 limit. That's it. You won't get any more. So that's why I try and make them unique. And then, but at Christmas time, I sold 3 large, very big canvases, and they just work that way. And I think that I have a lovely moment where I think to myself, yeah, I want a bit of uniqueness, and I think what I'll do is have music attached to it, and passionate music that I love. And those 2 albums, it's and another album by George Michael called Older. That's another one that I relate to, and I can add it to the paintings as well. But so if you look at those, any London ones that I do, and the reflections that I love painting as well. I love painting reflections. I'm just find it's like Zen. It's like Zen. I'm very chilled out.
Do you have a website for your art?
No, I don't. I'm going to put it on my magic
page or social media or anything.
You go follow my social media. It's Foxy's Art Studio. If you go onto there, or just on my Wayne Fox Facebook page. But I'm going to be doing on Wayne Fox Magic. I'm going to open a page and put my artwork on there, because I'm thinking about having a small exhibition for it in London. It will be in London. It will be all London paintings. But that's what I'd like to probably spend a lot more effort on that than I have any magic this year, apart from this new thing that's coming out in the summer. I've got a lot of stuff on there, which I'm very, very proud of. I love painting as much as I love doing magic. I really do.
I think from speaking to you, one of the things that you love is recognition from an audience. You love it when you walk out on stage and at the end of the show, everyone's giving you a standing ovation, or you walk over to a group of people in a close-up gig and they're just standing up and going crazy. And you get that same thing from a picture. You show somebody one of your pieces and they're just talking about how amazing it is, or you have an exhibition and everyone's talking about how amazing it is. It's the same buzz as you get from a performance.
Yeah, you're dead right. You are dead right. It's having that respect from other people. But I like getting respect from other people who I also respect. Yeah. Getting respect from people who have paid 25 quid to come and see you do a show. They're hard earned. If they're coming with a partner, there's 50 quid. If they've been out for dinner, there's another 70 quid. They just spent 200 quid on coming out to see you. Then you got to respect that. And so when they stand up and they start applauding you, it gets you right there. Yeah. It does me. It gets me right there, because I'm quite an emotional person. I'm attached to that. And I love that moment. And, but I am a big head as well. But I mean, big-headed.
You got to be a magician to some respect, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be big-headed. I always say people that goes, "Oh, Wayne," because they'll say on my social media, "Can't believe," they go, "Oh, Wayne, you're so multi-talented. Is there anything that you're not good at?" And I remember telling someone recently that I've spent the last 12 months of lockdown searching for stuff that I'm rubbish at, and I've been unsuccessful.
I love that. I love that. Love that.
But I do things I love. I've been learning piano as well. I've been playing piano, and I've thrown myself into that. I love photography. Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
And growing bonsai trees, I do that as well. I've got lots of things I love doing. Going out with my camera into London. When the first lockdown ended, and we could go out, I went out into London, and there was no one there. No one. And I got the most spectacular photographs of London before it started to get filled up. No one around. Leicester Square, not a single person in it. And normally you go up there and you got like thousands of people walking around. Not you could hear a pin drop. And for me, as a Londoner who grew up in the city of London, and as you know, I'm a 30-minute drive from Covent Garden from where I live in North London. It touches my heart. I love London. I really do. I really love it. And nothing fills me with such sort of, I can't even express the word, what it's like to be walking along the Thames and having, like at winter time, having a hot chocolate with someone you love. What would you love more than that? What would you love more than that, than spending time with someone you love in a lovely place? And London is that place. London is that place. Next week, I'm going to Covent Garden for breakfast.
Nice.
Mate, I can't even tell you. I just cannot wait. Because I do that once a week anyway. Going to Covent Garden, chill out with the locals and have some brekkie. And, we're going out next week to have some brekkie. I cannot wait. So it's just that place. It's my place. London is I know little nooks and crannies which just make me feel great about the place, and it's just a lovely moment to be able to be in its presence. It's not mine, it's everyone's, and I'm just borrowing it for the day. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. Go up there, take some photographs, come back, get creative, do some painting about London town.
You can see how proud you are. It's good. Well, I got one last question before we wrap this up, which is a question that I ask everyone I interview, but it's a question I really want to ask you, which is, what's next, Wayne? And what I mean by that is, you have done so much in your career. You really have. You've traveled the world, literally the world, performing on stages, performing close up. You've had a career that most magicians would dream of. If you said to a magician at the start of their career, you could have done all this, they'd be like, oh my God, yeah, that would be amazing. You've created some of the best-selling tricks of all time. You are respected amongst all magicians. You have had an incredible career. And, you're the co-host of the largest review show in the world. It's so much that you've done. If you decided to give it up now and go, you know what, I'm never going to perform again. I'm just gonna do some paintings and hang around London. Your legacy would be set forever.
Bless you.
I know it's true, mate. It's true. You know that I've got a reputation of saying what I do, and so I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't true. And I've got all the respect in the world for you, mate. I really have. I've been a big fan and follower of your work for a long, long time. But I know that you're not planning on giving up anytime soon because you love it. You've got that buzz.
Yeah.
So my question is, what's next? Is there anything left on your magical bucket list, or even, your bucket list in general that you haven't done that you want to achieve? Is there anything from a career point of view that you want to do that you haven't done, or is it just a case of getting back to stages and doing more of the same?
Yeah, I mean, doing. I love lecturing. I do love lecturing. I always said that when I was younger, that I wouldn't start lecturing until I've got something to say. And I unfortunately got into a little bit of a heated discussion with a young lad who approached me and said, "Wayne, can you give me a quote on my lecture?" And I said, "I haven't seen your lecture. What are you lecturing about? How old are you?" And he was 17. And he said, "I'm lecturing about magic." I said, "Right." I said, what part of magic?" He went, "How to create a good business." So I said, "Well, what are you doing then? What is it you know, I don't even know who you are." And I said, "I can't give you a quote. I'm really sorry. There's nothing." And he got a little bit upset. And I ended up having his parents emailing me and having a moan at me about it. And I was honest. I said, "I don't know who he is," but they got really upset. I said, "Yeah, but you've got to encourage people." And I said, "Yeah, I will encourage you. I will encourage you. Go and do exactly what it is you're lecturing about." And that was the thing for me. So for me, I love to lecture. I'm a bit weird. I like performing for magicians. And I like to tell a lot of really good stories that have happened to me throughout my career. And I find that they are funny. And I'm able to tell a funny story, being brilliant and all that. So I have to make sure that I can do that. And so I'm very fortunate in that I have got a great following of people who want to see my lecture, and they almost see it like a show. And I try to make it a show. So rather than just go along and learn about magic, what you're actually doing is going along and being entertained by it all, as well as going, "Oh, we can still get these products as well." You know, they can still get lecture notes and buy products, stuff like that. So probably lecturing abroad is something that I'm going to be looking at doing in the future. I want to be doing my stage show in the West End. I want to take What the Fox on tour. That was always going to be just a one night only. But out of everything I've done, that's the one show that lay people have said, "When are you going to do that again? Can we come again?" So I've rewritten that with added bits and pieces and taken pieces out. It's a lot more slick, I think, really. Again, with David's help, because he's been the consultant on it. It's been, I would love to do stuff like that. I'm a brilliant socialite. I really do know how to chill out and relax. I go out, I've got lots and lots of friends. I go out with my camera a lot, but I do like to be social. I'd like to go out and have fun and chill out and relax. I play harder than I work. It's what I'm trying to say.
It's the way to
do. And as long as people recognise that, you know, it's I work to live. I don't live to work. You know, and I really do. I really do live. I keep saying this, but I actually do live a charmed life. I really do. You know, after this, I'm going to make myself a coffee and play around on the piano for a little while. I've got a prototype trick that I've got to go and sort out this afternoon, but I will make sure that I give myself half an hour to sit down and just play some tunes on the piano, just to get it all working up there. Jay Sankey said something. I'm a big follower of Jay Sankey. I'm good pals with him. He said something during lockdown. He said, "You've got to weed the garden. Got to weed the garden. Anything bugging you, nip it out. That little weed over there, get rid of it before it gets into this stage." And that, for me, was a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, especially when people are talking about their mental health at the moment. Be creative. Get things you enjoy doing. Get off social media and stop whining that something's not right. Stop tagging yourself in at the doctors on Facebook, and then when people go on, they go, "No, is everything all right? Is everything all right?" And you've heard that they're reaching out just for attention. Go and do something. Do something that you've always wanted to do, whether it's, hang gliding or something, even if it's something that's, you're finding it not affordable. Read about it. Do it until you can afford to do it. Make a dream happen. I'm a big believer. I mean, it's Charles Dickens is my favourite author. I loved his work. It's all about London as well, I suppose, but all of his places are, all his books are. But he says you've got to will it to happen. Don't wish for it, will it. Don't say, I wish I could be as good as that. I could be as good as that. I will be as good. And that's what I do. I live in North London. It's 30 minutes drive, 45 minutes drive when it's traffic. I've got to pay the congestion charge. I have to pay for the parking in London. Is it worth it for me to drive up there and have some breakfast? For a lot of people, they might say, well, why would you spend that kind of money to do it? Because I love it. Because I love it. And because I have to. It would be ridiculous for me to do it every day. But once every couple of weeks, I can afford 15 quid congestion charge to go up there, pay 20 quid parking, just so that I can have a croissant in a place that I love.
Yeah.
You've got to will it. Don't wish it. You've got to will it. Do things that you love now and again. Don't just go to work. I don't want to come off of this interview with you and then panic about, I've got to go and do this, got to do that, I've got what? Just calm down. Even though I've still got to do those things, I'll still have 5 minutes. I'll still have half an hour to myself on the piano, or maybe do a sketch, put something down in writing, add something to my lecture notes, put a little memory hook. I've always got a notepad with me. I've always got a notepad with me, but I'm sure you have as well, just so that I can write it down so I don't forget. I put it down in my notes on my phone, write it down so I don't forget. Something that I've got there, something to remind me that something special is happening. I always say to people, think of something brilliant. Think of something, plan for something that you want to do, that you can't wait to do it. Plan it, rehearse it in your head, keep it going in your mind, plan for the future, but then do it today.
Yeah.
So you click out of it. Yesterday, me and my mate Pete, he's doing the tours, these London tour guides, and he's got one that he's got to do on this place called Doggerland, and it was when England and France were joined by land, and the trawlers and dredgers of the fishermen are pulling up these woolly mammoth tusks from the ground, what used to be land back then. And we went to it yesterday. It was one of the best days that you could imagine. It's a brilliant day. Walking along the beach, finding things on the ground, something that I wanted to do. Now, it was a drive. It was a full tank of petrol. Was it a brilliant day? Yes, it was a brilliant day. Counteracts the balance of having to pay all that money on petrol. Why not do it? Just get out there and do it. So yeah, that's what I would say to everybody. Plan something brilliant for tomorrow, then end up doing it today. Get up, be spontaneous. You want to go down to Southend and play on the arcades? Go and do it. I do. Me and Andy Clockwise, great mate of mine, we do that. Went up there, think it's got, what you think it's childish to go and play on the arcades? No, we had a right laugh. It's brilliant fun. We went down there. He was lecturing. He was lecturing his lecture down at Southend Sorcerers. And I said, let's go early. We'll have fish and chips and we'll play on the arcades. Yeah, go on then. Great. 2 grown men, fish and chips on the seafront, play on the arcades. I thrashed him though at air hockey. Do stuff that you love. Yeah. Do stuff that you love. That's the way I always think. Why do it if you don't like it? That's the way I think. It's it's important to do things that you love and not stuff. I've got a friend of mine who hates his job. He's been paid in full for his furlough. He's been paid full money, full wages. He could have done something with that money, set up another little business, do something with it. Did he? No, he's gone back to the job that he hates. And then he's posting it on Facebook. Here I am again doing the job I hate. What's the point?
Yeah.
What is the point? Make a decision. Don't get exhausted. Make a decision and then do it. And that's the way I live my life, mate. Socialite.
Mate, that is the best piece of advice that I've heard in a very long time. And it's the perfect way, the absolute perfect way to end the interview. I knew this would be a good interview, but it has just exceeded expectations. My friend, you are absolutely amazing. I want to put at the bottom of the screen your URL so that anybody who wants to check out your magic products, and by the way, if you haven't, you should do, because Wayne is a genius. What's the URL? Where can people go to check out your shop?
If you go onto my Facebook page, because that is where it's all happening. That has taken over everything that I've done, to be quite honest with you. Anything that gets released nowadays, 100% gets put on social media before it goes anywhere else. And then they just follow the link to the site where I'm going to be selling it from. That's the best thing. The most popular things are the which I will send you, are the links to the instant downloads.
Right. If you send me the links to the instant downloads, they will be in the descriptions below. So go check those out, especially the light heavy one. I know I've heard from so many people how amazing that is. But yeah. So support Wayne in everything that he does, because he is one of the good guys in magic, and we need more people like you, mate.
I really am.
And humble as well. That's what I love so much about you. Humble, unassuming. It's just a model guy.
Well,
Great. Wayne, thank you so much.
Craig, thanks for having me on, mate. I love it. I mean, we can talk. I mean, I can really talk, but you can talk equally as good as me, mate. I'm quite impressed.
I'm gonna contact you next week. I'm gonna schedule in a second interview, because I think there's so much more we could have talked about. So look out for Wayne Fox Part 2. It's definitely coming. We'll get him talking another couple of hours. But guys, leave a comment down below. Wayne will see it. So if you want to leave a comment down below. Support Wayne. Check him out on social media. The links are going to be down below as well. And one more time, Wayne, thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Thanks for having me on, Craig. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for watching. I really appreciate your constant support. I really do. Thank you, all of you.
You're the man. Guys, see you tomorrow.